agree what they mean when they say Harry.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. Without further ado, I am going to plunge in because I have been hearing some very interesting things, and I'm only going to very peripherally, if at all, touch upon the most interesting and momentous, which relates to the potentially biggest scandal of, if not the age, certainly the decade, but it could be the age. But I'm going to see how that fits in with the scheme of things, because I am not particularly eager to get caught up in too much to do with American politics. Having said that, when juicy morsels drop in one's lap, is one going to deprive oneself and those who hunger for revelation and knowledge of the just deserts? We'll see. But if you want me, and I'm going to ask for feedback on this, if you really want me, I now am privy to information as to what has really gone on in terms of very untoward behavior and the, shall we say, Jeffrey matter. But let me plunge in first with PQR. Question, Lady C. Do you think it would be a mistake for Harry and Meghan to move to Palm Beach the way they're saying? I have to tell you, Harry and Meghan are inexhaustibly imaginative. They and their people, and let's remember, their primary PR at the moment is Meredith Maines, who is notorious for the tabloid-esque nature of her thinking, and who seems to have regarded it as very desirable that Meghan's twerk, or whatever it was called, be defended as anything but the indefensible tastelessness that it was. Anyway, so they've been leaking that because of the close relationship, I think they might have met 3 times, so it's very intimate, between Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz, that according to sources, really, I mean, pathetic, that they have invited Harry and Meghan to spend summer at Palm Beach. Well, summer has been underway for a little while, I would have thought, but who am I to observe that this is coming up for the end of July and there's only August left? Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, why am I being so tiresome as to introduce elements of reality into this latest flaky, unrealistic nonsense? A souffle of hot air. Well, according to them, the Beckhams are all praises for Harry and Meghan. The 4 are as thick as thieves and have been talking about all sorts of collaborations. Well, Brooklyn and Nicola, if you really want to know how to screw your life, listen to Harry and Meghan, especially that authority on success, whose name is Meghan Markle, failed at everything except having managed to climb the ladder of worldly success, one horizontal and vertical step at a time. Would it be a mistake? Because Meghan has ambitions to establish herself, and I'm going to quote, as the Queen of Palm Beach. First of all, may I point out, Palm Beach already has many queens in it. Many. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Meghan cannot be the Queen of Palm Beach. First of all, most people in Palm Beach do not share Meghan's political persuasions. Also, Palm Beach is one of the most snobbish areas on earth. It also practices prejudice in a very overt way. Meghan would not be acceptable on many different grounds. Harry, with his persuasions in the Meghan way, will also not be acceptable. Most Palm Beachers would run a mile and would not regard it as an accomplishment to have the Markles, the Sussexes, Harry and Meghan, the losers. Oh, goodness gracious, my mouth is slipping all over the place this afternoon. Wow. Oh, well, you get the point. No way. According to them, she intends to explore valuable connections and will have tons of networking opportunities. Funnily enough, I can't see Meghan and Harry at the Bath and tennis. Somehow I just can't. I can't see them at the Everglades. Well, maybe if they're on waiting duties, yes, but otherwise, no. I can't see them at Mar-a-Lago, and I can't see them at that very chic dining club that Fred and Jane Scarf took me to when I was their guest in Palm Beach. Somehow I just can't see any of it. It would be rather like having Lenin and his wife along at an imperial banquet. I don't think it would work. Do I know what I'm talking about? Well, let me put it this way. Clearly a lot better than the people who have posted and leaked this nonsense. Sorry. Ophelia says, Lady C, how do you feel about Princess Anne's comment that she feels William should be doing more investitures? Why is the British media not reporting on his currently sailing around on a super yacht in Greece with all the taxpayer security? People don't like the Greek holiday because William is lazy and does minimal duties. They have had 4 holidays this year already. Ophelia, I'm hearing what you're saying. May I point out that William has been supportive of his family this year as Catherine has been trying to recover, and she is only recovering from cancer treatment. She needs the 5-year mark before she can actually be regarded as Claire. That's one thing. The second thing is, yes, William can do more investitures. And I have to say, there are many reasons why journalists dislike William and why they will be happy to run with anti-William stories. He is strong-willed, he is reserved, he plays his cards close to his chest on the one hand, while on the other hand, being direct and self-assertive. They detect that he is beyond their control, that they can't reach him. The press don't like public figures whom they feel are beyond their control and their reach, who will do what the public figure wants or thinks is best without care or consideration for the press. Now, the reason why the Queen Mother was so popular was that the press understood that she loved pandering to them. She cared very deeply about how her everything was presented. Queen Mary was the same. King George V was to an extent the same. King George VI was to an extent the same. The late Queen certainly was always very mindful of how she would be perceived via the lens of the press by the public, and gave them a degree of cooperation that William is well known to not give. The king is very mindful of the necessity to cooperate. William is not as cooperative, and they not only sense it, they know it. Now, I have to tell you, and I speak from personal experience in this regard, when the press realize that you are not going to be able to be outmaneuvered and manipulated by them, they absolutely loathe the fact that you have a degree of autonomy that they are not able to control, and they will, wherever possible, give you bad press. Having said all of that, the fact of the matter is that Princess Anne has a point. And the fact of the matter is that William has ideas which, when put in practice the way they are being put in practice, mean that he is not as visible in terms of the work he is doing as the press would like. And actually, the press is right in this regard, because they need to be able to show work that William is doing that's visible, that's not always behind the scenes. William is aiming for doing bigger projects, and I've touched upon this before, and he doesn't seem to understand, and I've criticized him for this before, and I'm going to criticize him again. He doesn't seem to understand that big is not always best. The ordinary unsung work that the royals do is absolutely fundamental to their existence and their purpose for existing as representatives of all the people. He certainly has had a reputation of being work shy, as has Catherine. I would not actually say that has always been fair. And certainly at this time, I understand why they need to take a break. I mean, everybody takes a break in summer. So why shouldn't William and Catherine? And the fact that they have taken other breaks this year, her health is an issue. She doesn't have the strength or the energy to be flogged like a workhorse. So let's bear that in mind. But the main reason why the press actually are going to have it in for William forevermore, unless he shows them that he is more cooperative and amenable to their needs, is that they don't like public figures who have reserve and independence and a degree of autonomy that basically comes across as hauteur, or in English, haughtiness. That's the danger that he's running. I know that I've been criticised by the press for being haughty because I won't bend a knee. Well, they can call me what they want. I couldn't give a continental damn. But William has to give more of a continental damn than he's giving. Let's leave it at that for the moment. Anne Tinkler says, I have met King Charles and I got the impression that he would expect his staff to put as much effort into their work as he does in his role as Prince of Wales, now King. He doesn't suffer fools gladly. The horrendous slagging off and often unfair criticism he has endured by the press over the years is relentless. Yes, it is, and it will continue. And I'll tell you why. Had Charles been better looking, he'd have had an easier ride. That really is the reality. The better looking you are is the easier ride that you get, unless they decide that they're going to have it in for you. But he doesn't suffer fools gladly. And quite frankly, I don't blame him for expecting people who are there to do a job to do it, and to do it properly. I think everybody needs to be sufficiently compassionate as to understand that we are all human, we are all fallible, we all make mistakes, but tolerance of error is not the same thing as acceptance of ineptitude. If somebody has presented himself or herself as adept and it turns out that they are inept, I see no reason for accommodating ineptitude. That doesn't make you a bad employer. And also, the fact is, if people don't want to work with him, don't accept the job. You know the conditions. You know the salary. You know the everything. You don't want it. Don't accept it. You have a choice. Don't on the one hand, accept it, thinking, oh, I'm going to exploit this situation down the line, and then I'm going to turn myself into a victim of my own choices. No, you've made your choice. This, sadly, is a problem that many people seem to suffer from nowadays. Whether it is women who go along with the bad behavior of men, and shades of that woman who then complained about Harvey Weinstein and had ended up helping to put him in prison. But the following day after this terribly traumatic incident, she wrote him and told him how much she loved him and could he please arrange for her to go to the Oscars. I'm sorry. You know, in life, make your choices and stick by the consequences. Too many people nowadays want to have it both ways. That is not only unethical, it is amoral. And sorry, that's my take on it. And the fact that Charles doesn't suffer fools gladly is to his credit, because he has turned the King's Trust, which was the Prince's Trust, into a huge, huge deal, which has made a huge difference to the lives of a multitude of people, including Idris Elba, who is going to be doing a program with him for Netflix. I make that point for what it's worth. Tegan Proctor says, there is an inhuman expectation of the king and the royal family in general. They are only human, and to expect them to forgive and take back two very dangerous people is just not realistic. If shutting them out for good risks the royal family being voted out, then so be it. Most people will stand by the royal family making tough decisions. Well, there has recently been a poll. I think 73 or 76%, and 91% of people didn't want Harry and Meghan together or Meghan on her own. They don't want the king and the royal family to expose themselves to the dangers that the treachery that Meghan and Harry have displayed will open them up to. As I said the other day, this is mainstream media provocation, and this is mainstream media adventurism and mainstream media concoction so that they can continue with the mess. The public want the mess cleared up. The royal family wants the mess cleared up, but the press don't want it cleared up. Kevin says, Lady C, hi. Can you please look at the Candace Owens situation with the Macrons? I think it is going to court. What will the outcome be? I don't think it's going to court. Sorry. I think it is a manipulative device. It is a public relations exercise. The Macrons have done this so that they can see out his presidency by dragging this out and saying, well, it's before the courts, we're doing something. I don't think this is going to court. Let me rephrase that. I don't think it's going to trial. I don't see how it can go to trial. The Macrons don't have the right to override the First Amendment. Candace Owens, whether you agree with her or not, has an absolute right to ask the questions she is asking. If you don't agree with her, you will say they are tasteless and she shouldn't be doing it. If you agree with her, you say, good on her. I am not passing an opinion one way or the other as to the tastefulness of what she is doing. I am, however, passing a definite opinion as to her right to do it. Brigitte Macron is the First Lady of France. President Macron is the President of France. They are public figures. If Candace Owens genuinely believes that Brigitte Macron was born male and is now female, she has a right to question that. They are not private individuals. They are public figures. They should have been aware of the fact that when he was entering politics and they were entering public life, their private lives would be opened up to inspection. The French privacy laws were largely brought about because Madame Pompidou was a lesbian. Want to know the truth? She was a lesbian. President Pompidou was seen by an ex-boyfriend of mine at Madame Claude's, which was the fashionable establishment in Paris where gentlemen of a certain, shall we say, level of society went for physical relief. And this friend of mine told me, oh, you'll never believe who I saw at Madame Claude's the other day, President Pompidou. So they had something to hide and they hid it, and they introduced very stringent privacy laws. Those privacy laws do not apply in the United States of America. President and Madame Macron do not have the right to demand privacy of American media personalities. They're not private individuals. They are public figures. And if indeed Madame Macron's a transsexual, I don't know why they are missing the opportunity to actually stand up for a group of individuals that, according to them, they sufficiently sympathize with and whose position they wish to respect, that they can't confirm or indeed provide proof that Madame Macron was always female. So, will it go to court? It might go to court, but it's not going to trial. It will peter out. It has to peter out. The laws of defamation in the United States of America require that you actually have malice. How are they going to be able to prove that Candace Owens is maliciously motivated? If she earnestly believes that Madame Macron was once male and she has the right, which she does under the First Amendment, to question why the President and First Lady of France are concealing what she regards as a pertinent fact as to their identities, there's no malice involved. They can't win the action. Also, being public figures, the bar is higher than if they were private individuals. I know. I tried to sue some journalists in the United States of America some years ago, and I was told there was no point in my trying because I was a public figure. And unless I could prove malice, there was no point. But with the Macrons, there is a point in having brought this lawsuit. they're trying to smuggle the rumours or the stories, however you want to put it, that she was once male and she's now female. And let us not forget that Madame Macron was a woman of 40 and he was a boy of 14 or 15 when their relationship started. The fact that they assert that there was nothing, shall we say, personal, since this is YouTube, that took place until after he was the age of consent doesn't alter the fact that she was a middle-aged woman and he was barely on the cusp of puberty, because male puberty starts later than female. And by all accounts, he was a youth. Let's put it at that. Considering that Prince Andrew's reputation has been traduced as a result of the fact that he was accused of a relationship with a professional who was over the age of consent in this country. And he was the same age as Brigitte Macron when she and Emmanuel Macron first started up their relationship. Why is it that they think that somehow they should be exonerated from the normal values which they have been up to now, that have been so rigorously applied to other people and has caused the loss of their rank and reputation? I just make those points for what they're worth. Toria Swift says, "Hello, Lady C. Can you please talk about how Labour have just blocked the Hillsborough Law? I'm so worried about where this country is going. It's completely lawless and corrupt. I don't think doing peaceful protests or signing petitions is enough. The people that want to destroy us, our way of life, our laws, they are so much more dangerous and violent. I worry that we are not strong enough when they rise. We will be sitting ducks or be able to do something about it. What are your thoughts?" To those of you who don't know, in 1989, there was a football match at Liverpool, at Hillsborough. I can't remember exactly how many, but I think something like 91 people died in the crush. The police were judged to be inept. Mrs. Thatcher was in power at the time, and it was judged that she somehow protected the police against the consequences of their ineptitude. This has been an ongoing scandal for decades, since 1989 until the present. That's nearly 40 years. There was an act before Parliament which the government has just prevented from progressing into law. Some people are saying it wasn't a good act, it wasn't going to make good law. Others are saying, yet again, the authorities, irrespective of the political party, whether it's Tory or Labour, the authorities are ganging up in much the same way that in the United States of America, people are now saying that the Democrats and the Republicans are deep state supporters, are ganging up to create scenarios that are adverse to the well-being of the American people, and there are all sorts of things beneath the surface that are bubbling over about what the motives were for arresting Jeffrey Epstein, and how the handling of the matter has superseded party political interests, and why they have superseded party political interests. There is a huge, huge issue bubbling beneath the surface that will doubtless come to the fore sooner rather than later in the United States. And as I said at the beginning of this, if you like, I can address some of what I am privy to. It's not public. None of this has been made public yet. It will inevitably be made public at some point, but it's not public yet. Well, Hillsborough is one of the British equivalents in a far more minor way. But it's not only Hillsborough and the fact that the Labour government in Parliament has just killed the Hillsborough Law. It is that this government in the United Kingdom is going out of its way to muzzle anybody whom it regards as not a political supporter of theirs. There have recently been protests against incidents in Epping. I don't know if you remember Epping Forest, very famous. Well, Epping, the Starmer government goes out of its way to criminalize anybody who does not agree with its basic political stance. So if you take to the streets in a peaceful protest and Keir Starmer and his government don't like the protest that you are about, they are 9 times out of 10, in fact it might be 11 times out of 10, going to accuse you of being a right-wing, etc., etc. monster, when in fact you are apolitical and you are simply protesting at what is going on in this country in terms of the policies that include such things as putting up migrants in 4-star hotels, giving them money, cell phones, access to XYZ, food, but they're not able to work, even though they might want to work. And also that some of these illegal immigrants arrive, they derive benefits that I couldn't achieve because I have to work for my money. They don't have to work for it. They're not allowed to work for it. I mean, and also, can I pitch up and be put into a 4-star hotel? Not a chance. Nor will most people in this country be allowed to benefit from such largesse that the government is intent on furthering. And if you object, if you protest, you are, even if you're doing it peacefully, and you are provoked because there is emerging proof that many of these peaceful protests are in much the same way that in the United States of America, it has been asserted that many of the peaceful protesters have had agents of whatever government chose to, or I should say authority would be a better word, whatever authority chose to stoke the fires and create a conflagration where there should be none. All of this is deeply concerning to anybody who is law-abiding. In terms of this government, it's going to go down in history as so slanted and so prejudiced that I shudder to think how their ancestors will be able to do anything but hang their heads in shame. And we will end with what Catherine Ream says. Hi, Lady C. I'm curious. Is there a comparable rift between the king and son in history? I'm thinking of George and Frederick, but I'm not sure if it's a true comparison. Interesting question. And we'll end on a more elevated note, not using the word in the terms that Meghan uses it, but in the correct terms. The Frederick, Prince of Wales, was the eldest son and heir apparent of George II of Great Britain. He was born and brought up in Germany. Much of his upbringing was actually, he was not allowed to come to the United Kingdom. He was made to remain in Hanover because his father was not only the king of the United Kingdom, but the Elector of Hanover. And he was pretty much a stranger to his parents, not only his father, but his mother. And and he was married to, if I remember correctly, he was married to Princess Augusta of Saxe-Gotha. And she was actually an incredible woman. I've read biographies of her. She was intelligent, she was resourceful, he was very much in love with her, but he was obliged to have a mistress, and so he had a mistress who he basically didn't sleep with, can you believe it, or practically never did. And he referred to his wife for all things. He absolutely adored his wife. He actually died very young. He died at the age of 44 in 1751. And then his eldest son acceded to the throne 9 years later as King George III. But he and Augusta fell foul of George II, who felt that they were trying to create a rival court in England when they moved to England. And he actually kicked them out of the palace, and they ended up in Leicester House, which was a house. So there was the heir to the throne, the Prince of Wales and the Princess of Wales, not allowed at the palace. Their children were not allowed, their elder children were not allowed to live with them. She had just given birth to a baby, which she was forced to leave. And she was not allowed to even nurse the baby or see the baby. And this situation went on for some time. George II tried to deprive him of his civil list money, not particularly successfully, it has to be said. But they were sworn enemies, and only after his death was Augusta allowed to have some limited contact and with the elder children. The younger children who were born while they were in exile in London, I mean, ridiculous, because they were actually banned from court. And not only were they banned from court and banned from seeing their children, but the ones that George II had taken custody of. And that's where the whole business of the king is entitled to custody of his grandchildren comes from. George II's assertions over those children. But any politician who visited the Prince and Princess of Wales was automatically excluded from any influence of, or the royal presence, as it was called. George II absolutely loathed his son and made it absolutely clear that as long as he had power, he was going to checkmate whom he regarded as competition, and possibly not more than competition, somebody who was trying to usurp some of his sovereign rights. So that was actually a far worse situation than the situation between Charles and Harry, because Charles has never been punitive the way George II was punitive. And Harry has been given the freedom to function and to make money. His long-time ancestor was not accorded similar privileges, nor were those rights respected. So I hope that answers the question. And I thought, oh, look who's here. I thought I would end on which I hope will be a sort of cleansing moment. The innocence of animals. The other day I was at lunch with some friends who have a 69-year-old tortoise, and Aurora was so, I don't know if terrified is the right word or perplexed, but she certainly did not acquit herself as a heroine. And so I thought I would ask Sean to post the clip of Aurora and the tortoise, because cleansing the palate, so to speak. Okay, hopefully you will enjoy it. So, this is Aurora, who's never seen a tortoise before. She's saying hello to the tortoise. And he's moving towards her. He wants to say hello, and she's fleeing from him. Mickey, come and say hello to the tortoise. Now you see, Mickey's not afraid. Oh. Oh, look at that. Oh, too funny.
She's still curious, though.
Yes, she's curious, but she's nervous. Oh. He's on the move. Aurora, go and say hello to him. I think Aurora is not going to. She's terrified. Go on, Aurora, don't be nervous. And he's off.
She's really nervous, so she ran away. She jumped on the front again, and she chased her.
Well, he used to do that. Well, when he was puppy, Toby flicked him across the decking, and he couldn't get away. And then as he got older, Toby would be lying in the garden sunbathing, sleeping, and Toby would come up and nudge him. If you have a football, he plays football. He pushes the football around the garden.
He's adorable. Go on, Aurora. Go on. Gather up your courage, girl. Come on. He's eluding you. Aesop would have something to say about this.
This fence is there for a reason.
Let's see.
Look at it off. That's it. He's going to find the other one now. Look.
Brilliant. What a bit dead, guys.
Oh, well. And on that note, I'll say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. Please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to be speaking about. Okay, thank you so much. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you care to like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and take good care. Bye-bye.